Hey, welcome to this video, guys. Imagine that app makes $3.6 million every month, and all it does is tell you how many calories are in your food. Well, today I will show you how I rebuilt exactly the same AI engine in n8n without any coding required. At the end of the video, we will have a Telegram bot which does exactly the same what CalAI is doing. You send it a food photo and it will reply with the calories and the nutrition. Okay, first of all, let's start by creating our access tokens for Telegram. You search for botfather, you add new bot, then it's asking you to add a name. Let's call it test calorie tracker 999. Then we need to set up a username, make sure it ends with bot, otherwise we will get an error. And now you can see we have our access token, which we will use later for our workflow. Okay, let's get started. The first thing we need to do is we need to select the Telegram trigger. You click on Telegram and you select on message. Right after that, to use the Telegram trigger, you need to set up your credentials. I already did it. What you need to do is you click here on the edit pane and you put here the access token which you received before from botfather. After that, normally here is a connect button, but for me it's retry because I already set up my credentials. You click on it and you can see here the connection tested successfully. Now what we need to do is we basically want to get a photo from Telegram, but before we do it, we want to send a message back to the user that we actually started analyzing his food. Before we are doing it, we need to execute this Telegram trigger. I click on execute step, and now what I will do is I will go to Telegram and I will send a photo of a meal. Now you can see we received our event. We can see here the chat ID, which is important in the next step, and we can see also here different photos. So basically those are all the same photos. The only difference is, as you can see, they have different size and different quality. For our example, we will take the last one because the quality is the best. The next step is to send a message to the user that we started analyzing his food. So let's go here and search for message. Send a text message. Here we go. Now we have this node, and as you can see, it expects us to add a chat ID. We need to take the chat ID from the previous node and put it here. The next thing, we need to write a message. Let's keep it simple and just tell him, hey, we started on analyzing your food. It will take a couple of seconds. Please wait. Okay, now let's test this step. Perfect. I can see we just received a message on Telegram. The only thing, as you can see, we are getting an additional message that this message was sent automatically with n8n. To disable this, we need to click here on add field, append n8n attribution, and just untick it. And when I send it again, it's away. All right, great. Let's continue to the next step. As you can see now, we have our image, but we need to access it. And you can see here, we just have a file ID. We need to take this file ID and we need to use another Telegram node to get the file. We click on Telegram and you need to click here on get a file. Perfect. One moment, I can see here we need to fix that. Okay. Now let's connect our send a text message to get the file. And now here you can see it expects us to add a file ID. I click here on my Telegram trigger and I go to the last image because remember I told you it has the highest quality, and we can see here we have a file ID. I take this file ID and drop it in this field. And now you can see here we basically see it as valid. What's also very important, because we need to process the image later, it's important that this download option is ticked. When it is ticked, then we will download basically a file as binary that we can process later. Now click on execute step, and now you can see here we have our binary file. When I click on view, you can see some nice meal with pasta and steak bites. Now we can jump into analyzing our image. To do this, click on plus and search for chain LLM, or how is it called? Basic LLM chain, exactly. I click here, and now what we need to do is we need to define a prompt below. Let's say you will now, I expect you to analyze the food photo and return the nutrition. Be as accurate as possible. That's a simple prompt. We can also improve it later, but I think it's enough to demonstrate you how to do it. Now, what we want to do here, we want to require a specific output format. Let's activate this field. And as you can see here now, a message popped up. Connect an output parser on the canvas to specify the output format you require. When you click on it, you can see here that we see a couple of options. We need the structured output parser. Just click on it, and perfect, it is connected. So this structured output parser enables us to actually get a JSON response from the AI. Here is an example. So here we can define how we want to have our JSON structured. In this example, we have a state and we have cities. So basically, the LLM or the AI will exactly output us that kind of format. But for our example, we actually need a list of ingredients, and we need also the grams and the nutrition. So how to do this? I will copy this JSON example and I will go to ChatGPT. Now I will tell ChatGPT to create a JSON example with ingredients. Each ingredient should have name, grams, proteins, carbohydrates, and fat. Return only JSON. And that's it. We just click here. Perfect. Now you can see ChatGPT generates us a perfect example. I copy this code and I go back to n8n. Now I edit here this JSON example. And now we can go back. As you can see here is we are still missing a model. So we need to connect this LLM chain to a model. For this example, let's pick OpenAI, which is basically ChatGPT. Now we need to do exactly the same like we did for the Telegram trigger. We need to set up our credentials. I already set up my credentials. What you need to do is you basically need to go to OpenAI, create an account, and generate an API key. When you Google it, you can find it. When we set up our API key, we need to select the model. I picked just GPT 4.1 mini because it simply works. Now let's go back to the canvas. So actually, as you can see here, we have our image, we have our prompt, but we didn't pass the image to the AI. So what I will do here is I will just pick here user, because I'm actually the user. And I will choose here image binary. And here you can see we can specify the data field of the image. And as you can see here, it is data. And now let's try it and execute. Perfect. Now you can see we have a list of different ingredients. We have the grams, we have the proteins, we have the carbohydrates and the fat. So the next thing what we want to do is we want to generate the message, and we also need to sum up those values, because right now we just have a list of ingredients. How to do this? I will pick a code node. So this code node enables us to format data using code. But actually you don't need to code, because we can also ask GPT to do it for us. So what I will do now is I will click here on, as you can see, this is our response, and I will go back to ChatGPT. Let's open a new chat and let's tell ChatGPT I need code for a function. I want to process my input. This is an example. Now just paste the input we have and tell him what we want to do is sum up the nutrition and to generate a nice message for Telegram. And let's hit enter. Now you can see here Chat is generating a message for us. Let's try if it works. Let's go back to n8n, paste the code here. Boom. And now you can see here we have a meal summary. And this is actually a pretty good message. What we now need to do next is we just go back to our note menu and we search again for Telegram. And now we want to send a message back to the user with this data. As you can see here, we need again our chat ID. We go to the Telegram trigger, we pick the chat ID, and we need the text. And the text we have here from our code node. So we just take this text, and that's it basically. Execute step. Perfect. And now I can see that I received a message on Telegram with our result.